just say that I couldn't have seen what God was capable of doing with us. Some people would say that we're successful. I would say we're more successful now. Not because we're doing anything, but honestly because God's doing it through us. Because when we got to the jungles, what he's saying was true. We thought we were going to work with somebody, and he left. And I went, you can't leave us. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't do this for a living. There's no businesses around here. I mean, when we say we live in the remote villages of Papua New Guinea, the closest village to us is Jason, and he's 2 days away, really. I mean, you could take a plane 30 minutes away, or you could go down a road and get on a dinghy and take the dinghy down, and it takes you a long time to be able to get there. And I thought, you're going too far away. You can't help me. You can't teach me. And what was going to happen was God was going to say, you don't need him. You need me.
Wow.
And I'll teach and I'll use you. Well, we started that and everything went wrong. Amy's leg broke and that went wrong. Jason was leaving. That went wrong. We sent 2 of our kids, Abby and Drew, over here back to America. And where that was interesting was God used that in another pastor's life that was a national man. They had never seen missionaries send their kids home. Most missionaries take their kids home, like we did this time with our youngest, Beth. But they'd never seen them put them on a plane, and it was a very emotional time for us. And as we were hugging Abby and Drew and really kind of watching them go into the unknown, it was like a bird kicks the baby out of the nest and they fly, but a bird can look down and watch them fly. We weren't allowed to watch them fly. We had to trust that God would protect them. And we went back to the missions house that night, and it was empty. And we had Beth, and all of us were weeping because we missed 2 of our greatest workers, because we've all served in ministry together. And now this pastor's looking, he says, I see what you guys have sacrificed because you're sending your children home. And it was very instrumental in his life. And all of those things going wrong, we went back to the field, and I said, God, I can't do this. You've got the wrong person. Send me home to America. Send me back. I want to go back home. And Beth would make a comment. She would say, I hate Papua New Guinea. My wife's leg is broken. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And we're like, honestly, God, we've sold everything. We've sacrificed everything to come. And God says, if I can't bring you love, I can't bring you love. If I can't allow you to go through some things to honor me, you'll think it's you that's doing it, not me. And God literally did the supernatural, because we don't know how he did it. We just became empty vessels and said, God, teach us. Allow us to be able to be used. And we saw, we'll conservatively say, 110 people receive Christ as Savior, which is an amazing amount. I thought Brother Russell's there. That's not ever going to happen. He's witnessed to everybody, and they've either accepted or denied. But maybe we just have a unique way of presenting that to people, and they see it. It's just because we're different. We're a different vessel. We're a different tool. Not that we're better, because we're not. We're just different. And God, you did that. We saw 70 people baptized, which was a big struggle, because baptism over there is a big deal. You're leaving your family, and they're telling you if you get baptized in a Baptist church, you'll go to hell. And my people ask me, they go, can you show us in the Bible where it says that? And I'm like, I can't. It doesn't say it. There's nowhere in the Bible that says you'll go to hell if you're baptized. And so there was such a unique thing that God did, where God literally raised them up. And I guess I took, if anything, business principles that they taught me in business, and I kind of just implemented some things that I took, really Pastor Fisher, just shows the same thing, that you just take 5 guys and you say, you're all level. Everybody's on the same playing field, and God will raise the one he wants to the top. Amen. And the man that raised to the top is Rosa. He's the one you read a lot about if you read our prayer letters, because Rosa is the guy. And we're just praying for him, and you pray for him. Last we did, Rosa left his job. He's a school teacher. And if he stayed 2 more years, he would get extra income, just like our pension is here. He'd get extra income, but because he knew our visa got lost, our passport got lost, he said, the church needs something. So Brother Burton, I just left my job. And he gave up an income to be able to pastor that church in Weepup. Now, he's not pastor, he hasn't said it yet, but I know where his heart is. And I'm hoping I can get back there and we can install him as pastor. My pray for him. I'll pray for him. We'll ordain him. We'll put him over to the church, and we believe he is the guy because he's got a heart for his people. He knows his people. And come to find out, 2 weeks before we left, Rosa's a village chief. No idea. He's so humble, he'd never tell you that. It's a big deal to have position in the villages. And I mean, everybody tells you who they are. I remember Brother Hamley, the one guy, Max, he came up, I'm Pastor Max. Right. He's not Max. He's Pastor Max. You have to have a title when you live in the villages, because the title is great. I'm Pastor Max. And so, but Arusa, I'm just Arusa. And 2 weeks before he leaves, he says, yeah, all this land is mine. I'm actually a village chief. And I'm like, Arusa, help a brother out. Tell me what you are so I know. But if I would have known what I had, I probably would have tried to put him in position, and I would have circumvented God. So God's doing a great work. I'll share more with you. I'll say this. You really want to be in tonight's service. Amen. Out of all the services you can be in, just as a way, and I might say it again in a minute, you want to be in tonight's service. And tonight will be a lot of fun. I'll share a lot of different things and do a lot of different things that I won't do necessarily in the morning. So if you get a chance to come back tonight, it'll be a lot of fun. But with that,
yes, indeed. We want to hear from Mrs. Burton, and she's going to speak this morning to you, and I'm going to hear from the kids tonight. This is her opportunity then to kind of bring us up to date on the family. You might also tell us about how your health is doing.
All right, good morning. Thank you for your prayers. Before we started, our heart was to be a blessing to missionaries, to pastors, to other ministries, wherever that meant, even if it was Papua New Guinea. And that was just something that we were taught back at Lighthouse, and just watching faithful people like the Maricles, and so we just really appreciate them, and kind of almost feels like it's a dream, that it's been a dream that we've been living in the jungle for the last 2 years. And now it's a dream we're back here in California, and you know, an air-conditioned place, and there's no centipedes I have to worry about, or snakes running around my legs, or anything like that. But but we always had a heart for that, and so we would try to send care packages and thank you cards and whatnot, not ever realizing what kind of impact does that make. Am I encouraging them? Am I being a help to them that I sent, you know, some jelly, or I sent some ketchup packages, or some candy, or whatever it was? But I say that all to you now that we're on this side of it, to kind of give you, just to be real about how it has helped us. It's helped us dry up some of our tears at times when we had our meltdowns, because I've always been a city girl. Now you're in the jungle, and we're in the middle of the night trying to go find this snake that's crawling around, or, you know, you got 2 dustpanfuls of critters literally that we kill every night. And, you know, we're not used to that. And we're not talking like little teeny spiders or anything. They're big things, and we're, you know, there's times Doug is upstairs and he couldn't hear us, and the girls and I, all 3 of us trying to go after what, we don't even know what it is. I can't even tell you what the species is. And all I know is it's taking all 3 of us to, you know, yell and scream and finally put it out of its misery. So, and then you know, it's hot and it's humid, and there's all those things that go on. So those things, those cards, those prayers, or the prayers that we've heard from somebody else that said they're praying for us, it helps with those times when we are going through a meltdown. It's encouraged us. It's helped us get through the next day. It's helped give us that boost that we didn't think we could make it through. And there are times when we're thinking, if there's a plane, maybe we're gonna go the next day. But in our area, you have to ask for a plane, and they only come maybe every 2 months now. And it's very different, but you're thankful when you see that little email that comes in that we finally downloaded from our phone, because it's half the time we get cell service there. And we put our phone in the window, you get maybe Edge Network 2 or 3 bars, and it finally downloads that one email. And we all grab for it. Who emailed us? It's like Christmas now to us. Here we take that kind of stuff for granted, like, oh, okay, I got an email, I got a card. There, it means 100 times more now to us. And so I just wanted to let you know that even a simple email like that, or a card that we might not get for 3 months because there is no post office where we're at. We may get it later on from somebody else that grabs it for us. It means a lot. Somebody sent us some rags at one point and some chocolate candy. And you think, so rags and chocolate candy is that? It's not easy to just go get some rags over there. It's not easy to bring in cargo to clean up. Where we live, we're surrounded by clay dirt. And you can't just take regular showers. We live off of rainwater, so I might get, a gallon or two to actually wash with every day or every other day. But you never really feel totally clean. And so all I was wanting was just some rags to clean my house and to clean off a little bit. And somebody sent that. And it was huge to me. You just don't know. Somebody shared with me, a lady, she was wanting just to leave. She wanted to quit in the ministry. She just couldn't handle being there for her husband anymore. All over popcorn. And you think, popcorn? That was icing on the cake for her. It was several different things. But the popcorn that she really was craving so much, that was the thing that just kept hitting in her mind. And so you just don't know the things that all of a sudden it's heightened more, that you really miss that chocolate bar or that frappuccino or that steak or whatever it is. You think about the things that you really like now and then say you're not going to have it for 2 years, if that those things can wear on you when you're tired and you're hungry and you're feeling lost and not being able to be in a church like this and get ministered to. This kind of sharing a little bit about just how we finally getting there to New Guinea. We finished deputation and you think, okay, it's a relief. This is how we had some of our meltdowns, or why we had some of our meltdowns. We're finally there. We're going to live in our house. But our house, we finally didn't have it done until about probably 2.5 months prior to us actually coming back here. So all that time of selling our house here selling it in San Diego, living out of a suitcase, traveling around, and now you're finally to the field, but you still don't get to be in your own home. We're still living out of a suitcase. That, for me as a woman, that was kind of a meltdown for me because you still could never feel really settled. Some of the other things was watching, we had our expectations. They said expect the worst but hope for the best. And we kind of thought, okay, well, we know watching my children get sick, that will be a hard thing, but okay, God, I'm mentally prepared for that. But when it actually happens, that's a whole different story. So watching my daughter get bit up, we both got bit up quite a bit. And over there, things don't heal that easily because it's so humid. You get everything from jungle rot, boils, staph infection, ulcerated bacteria, all kinds of stuff. And it knocks you down. And there's no medical place there. I am the medical woman there. And I don't have a doctor's degree or a nursing degree or anything like that. So watching that, and then Abby, when she got sick on Christmas Eve, and we had no phone service at that time. We didn't know if it was appendicitis or, according to the medical books that I was flipping through crazily that night, I was thinking appendicitis, kidney stone, but those are both very different things, and still just watching her go through that pain where she was almost in shock was, you just don't know what's going to happen, the unknown. And then suddenly, a miracle, you're finally able to get a text message through to the MAF pilots who, in turn, were able to help us out. And that was just all the Lord and people praying again. So that's just one of the kind of things. Lack of food. You think, we have so much food in abundance here in America. And my husband lost about 65 pounds. And you think, okay, well, that's not one of the things you're going to fight about on the field. You're not going to fight about food. But that was one of the things we fought about. I'm trying to plan, there is no stores there, and I have to plan my grocery list for 65 meals. We go out and have to go get our groceries. We take 2 planes to go get our groceries. And so I know exactly how it's going to, thank the Lord, He taught me how to be organized before we left, but I have to even be more organized being there because you can't mess up. There's no going like, oh, I forgot something, I got to go back to the store. And so I'm feeding him his dinners and lunches and how best we can figure it out, and only limited cargo that we can even bring in. And he's saying he's starving. I'm like, Doug, but there's no more food. That's it. That's what we have for today. Otherwise, you're going to mess up the meal plan. And he's still going and getting the extra crackers or the extra Maggi noodles. And some people would send us little snacks and stuff, and I would divide them up. Okay, you get 3 packages of M&Ms, I get 1. You get 3 Tootsie Rolls, we'll get 1. And he'd go through all his in 1 week. We still had ours for the next 3 weeks. And then he's going through our stash and finding it. And I'm like, that's not fair. So you have those kind of situations that go on.
We need to get right with God and right with Mrs. Burton. She sacrifices a lot. So she's done great.
So that brings friction. Again, it's a whole nother world. I can't even explain it. It's like living in the Discovery Channel. You're really there. And you're feeling it. It's not just like you're seeing it, but you really you feel all of it. The blessings though, you get those meltdowns. Those are the types of things that will have given us that maybe have caused some of our meltdowns. But the blessings are Beth. Abby was there. Abby and Drew were there for 60 days. That's what their visa was set for, and they ended up going back. Beth is now there. I ended up breaking my leg, which that's another story. They misdiagnosed it to the point where the cast was, I guess, expired. What do you call it? What do you call the casting that they use there? Plaster. It was expired. They had to put new stuff on, but by that time, the doctor, who was just a fill-in doctor in the area that we had applied to, she an 85-year-old British doctor, that's the only one they could find, and she's only there sometimes. Well, now she's gone, and she wasn't even sure what exactly was wrong with my ankle. So she said, well, I think it's that you tore all the ligaments. Anyways, I go back the next day to redo my cast, and now it's just a bunch of guys who are like, we can't even find scissors to take this off, and this is supposed to be a better hospital. And then they're asking me, once they finally get the cast off to replace it, they said, okay, so how do we set this? I'm like, all I know is this is what they did before. So needless to say, I'm guiding them on how to put the cast onto my leg. I get back into the bush, I take the cast off 6 weeks later, and now my leg is all purple and black. It's worse than what it was. I ended up having to fly out to Port Moresby, where there's supposed to be even better doctors. That didn't work either. We finally had to go to Cairns, Australia, where it ended up being I not only tore all my ligaments, I broke 3 bones on the top and bruised my inner bone pretty bad, and I also had developed atrophy and edema at that point. But they said I was probably not going to walk for over a year, and what a blessing. I just YouTube things and found the Lord directed me to a lady who was able to do some rehab pressure points. All my muscles had just become rubber bands, and she had to try to put them all back into place. And I was able to walk again. That was a huge blessing. And again, I know that's not without prayers. I know that's not without the sacrifice of sending us a care package, because I know it's not cheap to send something there. Taking the time to send that email. And now, Beth's back home though, and now she's got to be the person making food from scratch, helping to get the chickens that were just butchered, and now butchering them and putting them in the freezer. And that's not something we're used to having to do. And her helping to go get the lizard snake that's in the house, or the centipede. And we all sleep with machetes, and now it's all kind of on her, because he's having to spend the time with the men and trying to work on the ministry aspects of it. I saw her flourish into a woman.
Amen.
So,
Amen, sister.
just the blessing to see how far she came from being the girl who said, Mom, I'm not sure I can make it over there, to the girl when we came back on our last plane, or the plane coming out of the bush. I looked back and she's just heaving. And she said, Mom, my heart hurts so much because I love the people.
Amen.
God really did a work in her. Sometimes as moms, you're not sure, God, we want to do this together as a family. We know how important it is to be a family. But you're also wondering, am I pushing them too hard? Is it going to push them away from God? Am I doing what's right? Especially when you're in the jungle and you bring a teenage girl over there. And just see how much God did in her life. And then Abby comes back. And the two of them together were just a powerhouse. And they helped us. Women were not allowed to be taught anything. They're a possession. It's a very male-dominant society. So we were the first women to ever be allowed to teach their women to do anything besides just having babies and working in the garden. We didn't have any national teachers, not in any of the churches or fellowships around there. And I can say that definitely within several days' journeys that I know no women to do any of that kind of stuff. We now have over 24 different teachers and I couldn't do it just by myself. That was training, and I didn't bring any of that stuff over. We had to figure out how we're going to train them. What are we going to say? Their mentality is like second grade education, and then take out things that they don't understand, like the word shame or cute or ruby or wigs or train or snow. They don't understand any of those things. So I'm having to teach them, and a lack of comprehension. But we knew we needed help. We need teachers. I needed help with other ladies. And one of the big reasons is they have a school that's there in our station, over 300 children. They'll walk on a Sunday night, they'll walk miles to come to that school because there's a lack of schools, all by themselves, 3rd grade through 8th grade. And that's predominantly what half of them will only make it up to, is maybe 8th grade. And their 8th grade is about the equivalent of our 3rd grade education here, maybe. And so kids are the bottom of the totem pole. It's males first, then the oldest born male, then the women, and then the children are at the bottom. And so we saw all these children just by themselves, and we knew we needed to work with them. And then people just thought, whoa, children are that important? Why would you take all this time with them? And then seeing how the children were getting saved, and for the people to see how children are important to God. And my girls have been working, and Drew have been working in ministry with children all their lives. I mean, since they were trained at Lighthouse, 8 years old, working with children, and have, again, indescribable on how God used them to help work in the ministry. And it definitely was a family thing together, and I just am so glad about that. And so glad how you look back, it is hard, potty training them, okay, let's go to church, is this all, what's it all going to be worth? And God just used it to all work together. And then just watching Drew come in a man, and just having to do things on his own many times, no communication. He broke his hand, and we didn't even know for several weeks because there was no communication. And no medical insurance that he had. He still has a broken hand, poor thing. But, he had to deal with just everything all of a sudden on his own, from a guy who doesn't even like to make phone calls on the phone because he would get nervous, and he got a job and all that. And we saw just lots of people saved, and watching people come from darkness to light, and just seeing the phrase, His grace is sufficient. You think, okay, how am I going to get through all these things? But when it comes down to it, and you're right at that 11th hour, His grace